Hey guys, Scout Football Scoop. Today on the Inside Scoop, we've got Alan Hall, head coach at Northwestern Oklahoma State. Hey Coach, how are you, bud?
Hey Scott, how you doing, man?
Doing well. So you guys finished up. This was first, like transitional year into D2, right?
That's correct.
And I know you guys finished strong. I think you had a nice little win streak there at the end. Tell me about the season.
Well, we got accepted as a provisional member back in July, and so we began play in the NCAA Division II in August. We're a provisional member as well with the Great America Conference, which is a relatively new conference out there, comprised of schools in Oklahoma and Arkansas. And so we hit the ground with a first-year program with, suffice it to say, pretty tough beginning of the season schedule. We opened up on the road actually a day early due to a hurricane at Wichita Baptist on a Wednesday night, the night before opening night. It didn't fare so hot, and just young program being on the road for the first time, a lot of firsts, and we didn't handle it very well. We were fortunate enough to come back home for our home opener against a team, it's not so bad in Colorado State Pueblo, who I think is ranked #1 in the country right now, and actually had a lead in the game in the third quarter.
Wow.
So we played extremely well, probably a little above ourselves, but they were able to come back and pull away in the fourth. But 2 weeks later, we went to UT San Antonio and played in the Alamo Dome in front of 35, 40,000 people. And Coach Coker gave us a little medicine down there. We were awestruck, I think, playing Division I school. But it was a good experience for our kids. We made the most out of it. We did some educational environments. We took the kids to the Alamo and did a little history. We had some of our history professors from the university go and meet us, and kids got some community service out of the event. Good trip all the way around.
Yep.
And then we hit the second half of our season, and the thing, we were 0-7, but our kids came to work every day. That's the one thing about our kids. We may not have been the oldest, we may not have been even the most talented, but our kids never gave up. They continued to fight, and things started to click for us. We had Oklahoma Panhandle State here, which we won 38, 34, 35, something like that, and we scored late in the game to take the lead, and were able to close it out. And that was really probably was the upswing of what carried us. We actually proved that we could play well and beat somebody, and followed that up the next week with we played an exhibition game with the Air Force Academy JV team, and won that one rather easily, or I should say handily. The game wasn't real close, but again, we started to build confidence. We started to come back to practice. Practicing is a whole lot easier. There's less kids in the training room that are banged up after you win games, and that spurred us on into senior night. We played one of our rivals in Southern Nazarene, and again, we came from behind in the second half and pulled away in that game, and were able to win our third in a row and close out the home stretch. And then still a little suspect. We had to go on the road to finish the season, and we traveled all the way down to Monticello, Arkansas, and were able to pull that one out. We kicked the last-second field goal in order to take the lead and win that one. And
nice.
So we finished on a four-game win streak with 2 conference wins, which is the first time, obviously, our first year in the conference, and being able to do that was a nice feather in our cap. Being able to win 4 in a row to close out the season means you're finishing off the season the right way, with a lot of momentum going into recruiting season and spring practice. And now I've got the kids, I think, believing enough, we're able to push them that much harder, and that's important. Ending on a high note like we did, we were able to accomplish some things with our players this fall. We managed to have 3 all-conference or 3 conference player of the weeks throughout the season, and it was nice because that was spread around. We had an offensive player of the week, we had a defensive player of the week, and this past weekend our kicker was the special teams player of the week for his last-second field goal attempt. So in our first year, to be able to pull that off. And yesterday the all-conference team was announced, and we actually our kickoff returner was named second team all-conference as a kick returner.
Nice.
And again, a lot of firsts. It obviously didn't quite finish up the way we'd like to have, but to be able to put the body of work together that we did against who we had to compete against. I thought it was a successful year, about as successful as you can consider 4-7 being. But
let me ask you this, Coach. So you guys have theoretically 2 more years of kind of a postseason restriction. How does that impact recruiting? Building the program. Is that a big deal? 2 years, in all honesty, isn't that long.
No, it's not. And we knew going in, and when we recruited back in December before the announcement, we knew. We did everything we could do to plan on being in, and knew that we were going to have a 3-year ban. So in this first class we signed, we explained to them, look, most of you guys are going to redshirt, so that's 1 year out of the ban. So if you play all 4 years and you don't have anything wrong medically, you're going to still have 2 years of viability going into postseason play, which certainly helped. Now, did that hurt us a little bit? We lost a few kids. Other schools used it against us, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have done the same thing in their situation, but they said, look, you go there for 3 years, you're not competing for anything. Do you really want to do that? And what we sold our kids on was the benefits of being here off the field. The quality of the education, the university, the cost factor involved, because we all know at Division II, there's not a whole lot of full scholarships out there. So there's a lot more to being here than just being a football player. And I think some of our kids bought into that and took that for what it is and just enjoyed being here. Now that we've kind of gone through this first year, recruiting's actually been much better. But again, it's still a little early in the process, and we may have just been ahead of the game, recruiting as early as we did, because I felt, in order to bypass that, we would need to have relationships established with some of these kids, and hopefully that relationship that the position coach and the head coach and even the coordinator might develop with that prospect would circumvent some of the shortcomings we have as we go through this transition process. Sure. We're halfway through our first year in it right now. Everything looks positive for us to move into year 2, which this class we bring in, if we redshirt them, they'll miss year 2 of the transition. They'll play in year 3, and then they have 3 years of viability. So yep. I don't anticipate it hurting us too bad this year, although I'm sure it'll come up again that for at least 2 more years we're not viable. But we are, again, as I said when you and I talked at the beginning of the season, the conference did open us up to awards and that type of thing, and as you can see, we were able to garner some of those accomplishments this year, even though we were in our first year in provisional status. So I'm assuming next year, as we play a full conference schedule, we'll probably see even more players selected, and yep. Possibly being alive for a postseason bowl game. If you look at our conference this year, our top 2 teams made it to the NCAA playoffs. Yep. Henderson State and Harding. And Southern Arkansas, who finished 3rd, is going to play in a bowl game down in Texas against McMurray, I believe. Cool. So even though they didn't make it in, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think it would have anything to do with our provisional status being able to play in that kind of a bowl game. That's not technically NCAA postseason. That's the playoff system. So, right. We were able to manage to, crack into the top 2 or 3, and maybe there's going to be a chance for us to play at least in a postseason bowl game to give our kids a nice reward for a good season. So
you got the staff out on the road already?
Scott, we got back here Sunday morning at 7:30, and I think by 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, half my guys are already on the road. I stayed behind to kind of clean up the season. We did some equipment turn in yesterday and today, but yeah, we wanted to take advantage of this week off and 2 days the next week before the Thanksgiving Day break to get into some of the junior colleges that we have here locally in Kansas and Oklahoma. Yep. And as a matter of fact, I've even got one down in Texas right now visiting some. So you should see some Northwestern folks in and around the junior college and high schools here over the next few days. And when we get back from Thanksgiving, we'll crank up our high school recruiting efforts once again and get back out there and try to do what we can to keep this program moving forward.
You got some good stuff to build off of. Hey, Coach, this was good catching up with you. We need to do this more often.
I appreciate it, Scott. Absolutely.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.